Hello, and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 452. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. Today is September the 6th.
Guess what it is?
2019.
You knew this already.
Is
Mama Linneman's birthday. Happy birthday, Mama. I already called her and talked to her. They're home. They got home from Alaska today.
Wow.
Yeah, they trucked.
Your mom was like, do it or die. Like.
Yeah. Well, for those of you who are new to the show, my mom had a tree fall on her
exterior, an outbuilding.
Yeah, an outbuilding that houses, that's her studio essentially, that houses like her long arm sewing machine, a bunch of wheels, a ping pong table, because that's what I would need in my studio space as well. I think that's actually really cool that my parents still play ping pong and pickleball. And like all her knitting and crafting equipment was out there. Nothing was really damaged, but while my parents have been in Alaska for 5 months, the insurance company has been doing repairs and they couldn't really cancel this elaborate Alaska trip that they had planned. So, they got back today because today, like, the contractor was like, I'm finished with the work, I need your approval. So they wanted to be home to do that.
Also, your mom was probably ready.
Yeah,
right?
Oh, she was more than ready.
They had spent 4 months together.
Yeah, I was going back through some of her old texts that she sent me over the summer because I was looking for a picture of her, a good picture to put up on Instagram to wish her a happy birthday. Because apparently I own no pictures of my mother on my phone. So next time we're together, we have to remedy that.
Okay.
She's always taking the pictures
Yeah.
and chopping people's heads off. She's never the person in the picture. So we need to make sure that she's in the picture with us. And this is a newer phone. Like, I have some pictures from a couple years ago on my old phone. The iCloud has not decided it was worthy of saving, apparently. But, I don't even know where I was going, though, with that. I need pictures of Mom. Oh, and she was talking to me about all the Kiviat she bought while she's in Alaska. So I'm super excited about that. Yay, Kiviat. Alright, so I'm knitting. You're knitting. Would you like to go first, friend? You want me to go first? Good, because I have very little to talk about. So, I am knitting on a new pair of toe-up socks using Desert Vista Dye Works in the Zombuddy Says Boo colorway. I participate in her club on and off. She does, and all the details of this are in the Desert Vista Dye Works group. She does
On Ravelry.
On Ravelry. She does a club where you knit a pair of socks a month using her yarn. There's specific guidelines, and if you knit for 3 months, you get 30% off in her shop. So I knit the first 3 months of the year, and then she did a Halloween update. I believe it was like June, so that you could get your yarn in time. Maybe May. Anyway, somewhere in there. So I used my 30% off coupon to buy some Halloween yarn. And this is one of those skeins. So this is Zombuddy Says Boo. It's got the traditional black and orange for Halloween. And then in between it's got this like variegated green that's kind of like decomp zombie. And then the other variegated is like a purple variegated with green. So that's what it looks knit up. I'm like almost a repeat through. That's what it looks like in this game. There we go. So just started knitting that. I knit my socks on size 0 needles. I really should go down a little bit further, but this works for me. I haven't decided what heel pattern I'm using yet. So I'll decide that when I get around another 6 inches in. I wear a size 10.5 women's shoe, so I've got a little ways to go before I'm going to get there. So that is the first thing on my needles, and that is living in a subterranean stitcher bag that I don't remember buying, but it's a Halloween bag. Pumpkin spice lattes are out at Starbucks, so I feel the need to Halloween it up. We'll be starting our Halloween Craft All the Things closer to the end of September.
So John Oliver has this show called Last Week Tonight on HBO. It's kind of like a weekly version of a nighttime talk show, sort of.
Yeah, a news show, kind of.
And
a satire news show.
They did a little bit on pumpkin spice lattes that was friggin' hilarious.
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago.
I'm actually into...
Because I guess they brought it back earlier than normal.
They did. They brought it back the last week in August. Yeah. But I went to Joann's, which is like a big box store, the other day, and they had their Christmas stuff out. So we're just skipping fall altogether, it feels like. But no, I love Halloween's my favorite holiday, and we do a craft all the things, and it makes me super happy. So that'll be happening soon. The other thing that's on the needles is my Stevie sweater. This is knit on size 6 needles. Apparently we didn't put it in. Yeah, there it is. I was like, do we not put it in the show notes? But it's there.
This is the incomplete show notes?
I don't know what you're talking about. So, first sleeve is done. I knit it while Jessica was here. I used stitch markers to show where I did decreases. I didn't do a lot of decreases on the sleeves. I did around 3. Just 3 sets of decreases. Yep. It's around a 3/4 sleeve. So on me, it goes to right about there. I think it's going to grow a little bit in the wash. Yeah, like right there.
Her elbows right here.
Yep. And I'm always constantly pushing my sleeves up anyways.
That's true.
So I figured I could always wear a long sleeve underneath and use it as a layering piece if I wanted to. But I think for me, this is going to be a fall type piece.
I think you'll get a lot more wear out of that than you do other sweaters.
We'll see.
Just because it's not all wool, so it's a little, you can wear it a little longer than you would be able to wear other sweaters.
So this is Barocco Remix. Barocco Remix is 100% recycled fibers, and I'm enjoying working with it, actually. I haven't washed it at all. I washed the swatch, of course, but my friend Holly, Memphis Holly on Ravelry, she actually throws this in the washer and dryer. Mm-hmm. So it's 30% nylon, 27% cotton, 24% acrylic, 10% silk, and 9% nylon. It says that you can throw it in the washer and then lay flat to dry.
It does grow, though, when it's wet, so that's probably why Holly throws it in the dryer.
Yeah, I could totally see that. And I'm okay with it growing a little bit, but not a ton. So first sleeve, I have this much left out of that ball. I have a whole second ball. And then I have the neckband to do.
Okay.
I'm using the Addi
Flexi
Flips, the XL Flexi Flips. I'm really enjoying them, actually, for sleeves.
And what makes them longer is the shaft is longer or the cable is longer?
The shaft is longer.
Okay.
So the other ones are around like a 2 or 3 inch. They're longer in general. Okay. Like this is longer than the regulars, but I don't know by how much. Size 6. They allow me to go pretty quickly. About how fast you would go magic looping, but...
So, a flexi flip, for anybody who hasn't seen them before, it's essentially like a super short circular. We've got, the cable is like an inch long, perhaps, and then you've got 2 of the same size needle, and it comes in a set of 3.
It does.
So, you've used both this and the Shorty ChiaoGoo's to knit sleeves.
I have.
What do you think of the comparison of the 2?
It's about, like, I'm fine with either. I'm totally fine with either.
Because these
have a longer tip, so it's a little bit more comfortable, as I know.
And if you're used to double points, I feel like these might be more in tune with what you do normally because you switch it out at halfway. You essentially
or if you magic needles.
Loop. So, I'm interested. I'll have to try.
Yeah, as soon as I'm done with this.
I would knit some on that one, but then it would be like loose, 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 tight, 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 loose, loose, loose.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know how, they'd be good for the tops of hats, but to knit a whole hat on them would be awkward. I think like 14 inches circumference would be the largest that I would do on them. So a baby hat again. But yeah, they're not bad. They allow me to grip the whole needle with my entire hand, which is nice. You do have to be careful. Like, I just want to, because I'm so used to magic looping, I want to, like, throw them when I'm done. Yeah. So I kind of have to be careful with that. But I'm hoping to get this sleeve done this weekend, and then weave in the ends, and have a finished sweater. Block it out, have something new to wear to the Leading Men Retreat, which is in a little less than 2 weeks. So much to do for that. Although I did crank another work in progress that I did that is not really for me is I have a Speedster circular sock machine, and that's linked in the show notes if you're interested in that. But you can also Google circular sock machines, and that's like the second one that comes up. And so for my Afterthought Heel class this time, instead of having people knit swatches, I crinked tubes, like 30 row tubes, for people to be able to use.
So she's providing a small tube for each of them so that they can pick up and then cut the yarn and then essentially knit.
Yeah, I cut before I pick up.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I pick up and then cut.
I do it live.
I do it live too.
So, yeah, but I'm enjoying these needles. I'm enjoying this sweater. I want to get it done, and when I have it done, I do have one whole other full skein. I'll use that skein for the baby thing, which is called something.
The layette. We'll talk about it as we get to favorite things.
Yeah, definitely. So that I think will provide enough for a small baby sweater, some baby hats.
I think so.
That'll be machine washable. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for me. What's on your needles, friend?
So the crochet blanket that I showed you guys last week, I've about doubled it in size.
She stole all my yarn too.
But when I bought yarn for it, I bought 2 cakes thinking that would be enough. It was 600 yards. But I forget
that like 12 inches long.
Yeah, I forget that crochet eats yarn faster because it's like a double thick sort of fabric. I just forgot that. So
I have another cake too if you need it.
Laura has some of the same colorway because she used it for a knit blanket and then liked it, so we ended up getting more of it. So, but I don't have it with me. It's in the car. I thought I brought it in, but I didn't. And once we got up here and sat down, I was like, yeah, it's fine.
We had to climb the stairs.
Yes. That's why I don't come up to my craft room as often, because there's a set of stairs involved. And really, it's not that I can't climb stairs. It's just that once I'm up here, I'm away from, like, the fridge and my comfortable bed and, like, you know,
we could get you a mini fridge for up here.
I could, but
you could stock it with stuff that you don't want Kobe getting into.
He would just come in here and take it.
Do you think that he wouldn't know that you had it?
Well, no, until he figured it out. Kobe is my 16-year-old child who is also, this week, I will make this story much shorter than it was when I told it to Laura in our knit group, but his room was super disgusting.
He's a 16-year-old boy.
Yeah, and his room is like up at the top of the stairs at the end of the hallway where nobody else goes except him. So we don't go into his room frequently. We try to allow him privacy. And I had to
once the stench was wafting out.
No, I had to go up there for something. I forget what it was. And, you know, I knocked on the door because he's a 16-year-old boy and I don't walk in the room without knocking on the door.
Yeah.
And opened the door and it was just hideous. It was garbage on the floor and dirty clothes, and it was disgusting. He was also sleeping on a bare mattress with no sheet because apparently he didn't think he needed one because the bed works fine without it. So
I love 16-year-old boy logic. It's my favorite type of logic.
After a week of like begging, bartering, and yelling, nothing worked. So I took my knitting and went up there and sat on his bed and stared at him. And surprisingly, within about an hour, he did everything. But that involved him taking 7 full bags of garbage to the dumpster.
Oh, wow.
7.
That's a lot of garbage,
yes,
dude. And that's not even like cleaning his bathroom. That's just his room. Wow. That is a lot of garbage. I don't make 7 full bags of garbage in like a month, I don't think.
I don't understand it. But anyway, I'm not really sure how we got there. Oh, we were talking about keeping food upstairs or drinks upstairs.
Yeah.
It would just exacerbate his problem, I think. But I tried to tell him. I said, you know, one day you're going to be an adult and you're going to have your own place and you're going to want to invite people back to your place. You know, nobody's going to want to come there if it looks like this. And he's like, Mom, I'm never letting you in my house. And I was like, okay. Like,
I don't really want
this
to
isn't the punishment that you think it is.
Aww.
Anyway, I say that mockingly because I don't see him moving out until I literally kick him out. But we'll see.
Maybe. Hey, there's a trampoline park, and
I know he looked because I talked to him about it.
Yes,
it's called Adventure Park or Urban Adventure Indoor Trampoline Park, but they also have like
rock climbing,
all sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
and he was like, "Well, maybe I can work there." So he looked it up, and he was getting ready to apply, but you have to be 18, which makes sense because you know you can get injured indoors at these places.
Well, a lot of people are just taking tickets and doing stuff like that.
Yeah. So anyway.
Because they're gonna have like video game area too, and laser.
And they have like one
stuff.
of those things that they had at that place in Memphis where you like climb on the ropes and whatever. Yeah. So
that'll be fun. That'll be someplace new for Amy Florence to go when she comes.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I thought of him and his friends, and I was like, this one will be closer, although not as close to IKEA.
So this is the other thing I've been working on. It looks so much smaller, scrunched up on needles.
But it's joined. It was like only one half.
It was one half the last time that you guys saw it, which was about 8 inches long, and then you came and pick up. It's the construction, as I understand it, is very similar to boxy. So
the V-neck boxy.
You knit the back half of it to the underarm, then you come up and you pick up one half of the cast on and knit down, and then you do the same thing on the other side with some gradual increases for the neck. This is knit out of Rockin' Strings Sport Weight in the Toasted Marshmallow colorway. I did not alternate skeins when I was knitting it flat. I know that these were all these are all dyed in the same batch because I custom ordered it, and so she dyed them all in the same batch. But now that it's joined in the round, I am alternating every 2 rows.
To break up pooling?
Yeah, to break up pooling. I don't want it to have any kind of crazy... I mean, and it was very speckled, and it didn't look like there was a pattern to the speckle in the skein, but I don't want to risk it. So every 2 rows, I'm alternating.
Yeah, and just because something's in the same dye bath doesn't mean it's going to come out exactly the same either.
Right, and each skein is different, so especially in a speckle like this. So I'm about... 2 inches, maybe 1 3/4 inches from the underarm, and now it's in the round, so it's just trucking round and round and round.
And I still have short sleeves.
It's a shell, so this is the sleeve.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, I realized after the fact, like I had put this down for like a month basically, and I realized after the fact that I was supposed to have a slip stitch around the outside so that it would have that pretty
you could just do a
edge.
crochet.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick up and do a crochet stitch around the edge. But yeah, the sleeves are done. Like it's a shell, so there is no more sleeve.
Cool.
To this, I do have to come back and pick up the neck afterwards, but it's only like 6 rows of garter or something like that. So yeah, I've been working on it while I watched the 3rd season of The Good Place, which finally made it to Netflix.
Oh, yeah. So, I need to catch up on that.
The other thing, I haven't worked a ton on this week, but this is the Il Grande Favorito by Isabel Kramer. I got maybe... let's see if I put in a marker from the last time. Yes. So, I got maybe 1 1/4 inches knit from the last time I showed this, but when we recorded with Jessica. So not a ton. It wasn't the thing I wanted to work on this week. So there's that. I'm working on heels and toes.
Because you cranked a lot of tubes.
I did crank a lot of tubes. So while Jessica was here, she brought some yarn to crank on the sock machine, which, again, as Laura said, is an Erlbacher Gearhart Speedster. It's the red one. If you wanted to Google the red sock machine, that's Erlbacher Gearhart Speedster. So while Jessica was cranking yarn, I thought, well, I'll go ahead and crank some as well, because it was behaving. So we took advantage of that.
Because it will not behave for long.
Yeah. At least not for us. So I cranked, I did a hung hem on this one. And this was, I think I actually did this a week or 2 ago. And this is a coloring book in the BMO color. So I've still got waist yarn at the end. That's where I'll come back and put in toes, and then I'll come back and put in heels. I don't have to do anything for the cuff because I did a hung hem, which is essentially just, it's doubled over. And then...
And Leslie likes the hung hems.
I cranked some more. So this is 4 different colorways. I'll go through real quick. This is Fish Lips Kiss Heel. I'm sorry, no. This is Fish Knits in the Take 10 with the Knit Girls colorway. And it is actually 10 different colored stripes. So that's fun. And then this is some old opal in one of the Van Gogh colorways, the cafe one, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Or Starry Starry Night.
I think it's the cafe one. I wanted it to be Starry Starry Night, but I don't think it was. This is Two Sisters in the Gothic Rainbow colorway. I don't know if they're still in business or not. They are? Okay. I really like this one. It's very subtle in the color changes.
They have some really pretty new colors as well. They also do I have their Outlander colorway that I really, really like. There's your Nomadic.
This is Nomadic in the I forget the colorway name, but as soon as I put it on, the sock machine stopped behaving. And I was like, that's weird. And then I realized it was a sport weight. And you can't knit a sport weight at the same tension as you can a fingering weight on a sock machine.
Nope.
So you feel how tight that is. Like how...
Yeah. I have some that I have some sport that I accidentally did on the sock machine.
This is Scrumptious Pearl in the Campfire something colorway.
Yes, I have that one. I took it with me to Maryland to knit and never got it started.
And then this one is also Scrumptious Pearl.
I like her stuff a lot.
And we got these at my sister knits.
She's a Canadian dyer, I believe.
I can't remember what the colorway name on this one is.
It's really pretty.
Yeah, it's like Casual Friday or something like that. Something along those lines. So I cranked those, and then also I cranked some yarn from a local shop that we have here in Memphis.
Called Yarniverse. We went to their new store.
And
they recently were sold and moved. That's pretty.
This is it's unique, the letter U, Neek, Earth, Urth. So neither of the words are spelled the way you would expect them to be. And they come pre-wound into 2 cakes. This is 1 cake. Each cake is 220 yards. So what I did was I wound each cake completely, every single bit of yardage. I didn't leave anything. And I thought, well, I'll try, because the sock machine that we have, you can get a ribber for it, but we don't have the ribber. It's a separate piece of machinery that sits on top of the cylinder, and it's so when you're doing regular sock cranking, your needles go up and down. Well, the ribber has needles that go out and back, and so you're dealing with needles that go in 2 different directions. And I tried that on the machine that I had before, and it never worked correctly. And that was most likely me, because there are people who can make it work.
Yeah, but there's crankins across the country too.
Right.
Especially with the Earl
Backer Gearhart is in Missouri, which isn't far from us. So
we're actually going to drive directly through Cape Girardeau, where they are, to get to
Bleeding Man things.
Yes.
Yeah.
We should see if they have a place that's open.
Yeah. So I decided what I would do instead was I would crank the whole thing, and then on one end, every 4th stitch, I would drop down about 1.5 inches and then pick up on the wrong side to create the ribbing. So I've done that now on 2 different halves. I've got 1 complete sock, and I used waste yarn. I used some Miss Babs odds and ends when they did a grab bag sale a while ago, and Laura and I each got a little bag.
It was Black Friday-ish last year.
So this is like a dark purpley black color. And so I did the same thing on this half of the yarn, and then bound off with that alternate color, and then did an afterthought heel and just a regular toe, which is the same thing as an afterthought heel essentially. And I can tell you now that it is not worth the time to do this dropping down thing.
No.
I mean, it's a nifty trick if you've forgotten to leave yarn for the cuff, but it takes a lot longer than it would to just knit the ribbing. So I probably won't do it again, but it was an experiment.
So you did it on both sides?
I did it on both of the lighter halves of the yarn.
Gotcha.
For the other halves, I won't do it.
Gotcha.
I'll use some other yarn for the ribbing, or I'll just rip it back and knit it in the ribbing. But it was an experiment. I wanted to try it. And, you know, it worked. It's just moving the stitches around on the needles is more of a pain in the butt than usefulness. At least for me. So, one sock done, one sock sort of kind of started. That's it. I don't have anything that I've finished, but Laura does.
I do. I finished the Desert Vista socks that I was working on last week. Those were out of Color Accents in the grape colorway. Get this to a stopping point.
Also, I've been keeping this in my Hide and Hammer bag, which Amy bought one for Laura and I as a gift for when she came earlier in the year. And I friggin' love this bag. It's Hide and Hammer. She's out of the UK, and it's one of my favorite new bags. That and my Hikari Handmade are probably the ones that get used the most.
And she's still got a coupon code through the end of this month, Hikari Handmade, for the SSKers that we should take advantage
of.
I finished my Color Accents socks. They were Wendy's Taupe with Gusset heel, which I use all the time. She has a book that's really helpful, but she also, on her website, wendyknits.net, has like free patterns, including all the numbers you need to alter and do this heel. That's what I typically do.
I use Wendy Knits numbers for heels or for socks all the time.
She's amazing. She's one of my favorite people. So those two are done. They're going to go into rotation soon because I even wove in all the ends like a boss. And then I have some spinning. You don't have any spinning?
I can. It'll take me 30 seconds to talk about mine. It's downstairs. I didn't bring it up. I just started on my Matchless. Jessie, Little Hip Kitty, has been playing with 3D printed stuff, and so she 3D printed some very simple bobbins for the shocked wheels.
Yeah.
And so I started spinning on one of them, the red one. Shocker. Some ribbon candy colorway yarn from Spotted Circus, which is like 80% merino, 20% tussle silk. So it's spinning super thin, and so it's taken forever.
We'll get to see her and Lady Men too.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
She's at Market. I should spin everything from her that I have before then.
You should. You should spin that other braid of the Rumpelstiltskin and then give it to me.
Okay. I am on a spinning kick lately. So this is Whirlwind Romance. It is a Dorset horn.
I really like that. It's kind of like newspapery with pops of color.
Yeah, merino, Polworth, Angelina silk, silk noil, and Sari silk. When she did the bats, she did mini bats on this one. This was part of her bat club, and each of them was a sandwich of light and dark gray with a thick filling of pink or purple wool. So it has some nice marl. I did do a chain ply, so it does kind of stripe a little bit. I think I'm going to 146 yards isn't a ton, but I think it would make a great hat or mitts. Dorset horn, I need to read more about. It's a little bit more on the... It reminds me of like... Oh, what are the ones that don't felt? Oh, I'll think of it in a second. It reminds me of some other wool that I've spun before, which is not helpful at all.
The ones that don't felt.
I'll look it up on my phone.
Okay.
When we're done, when it's your turn to speak, I'll think of it in a second. I also have the Fleece and Fiber source book on my phone, which is super helpful sometimes. Anyway, it was a nice spin. I think it chain plied nicely. It's around a DK weight, thick and thin in some spots. When you chain ply, it definitely brings out more of the inconsistencies in your yarn. Because you're putting thick on thick and thin on thin. But I think it'll come out. It could be a cool hat, too. I don't know. It would have been really good socks had I gotten better yardage. So, a down.
Slippers.
Like a south down. It kind of reminds me of. Which is probably not what it's supposed to remind me of. But I'll have to look it up. I could... Well, 146 yards isn't really even enough for slippers. I could stripe something with it. For sure. But I didn't add... like super twist that I would normally if I was knitting like socks or slippers. And then the other thing that I spun is I finally applied the BFL, the Hello Yarn BFL, in the Happy Happy Thank You colorway. I kind of did a boo-boo with this. So I got a match list. I got a 50th anniversary match list last weekend, and it's set up in Double Drive, and I had spun this on the Ladybug in Scotch Tension. And I remember Mama Linneman telling me not to switch between those two. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I was just playing around. And I was not happy with how it was playing at all. Like, I was getting all these curly cues, which is really, you can kind of see there, which means there's too much twist. But when you look at the actual single, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of twist. Like, it's not looking like it's overspun. And it doesn't feel like it's overspun. The more twist you add to wool, the crunchier it starts feeling. And I don't feel like it feels crunchy. But, like, I'm getting these little pigtails of twist. So I texted Jillian Marino, because she knows everything and she's amazing. And I was like, what is happening? And then, like, also in my head, I was like, maybe I did the same thing Leslie did, where I spun it the wrong direction.
Spun it and plot it in the same direction.
Yeah, and I was like, no, because you can see that it's twisting around. I don't know if you all... Yeah, you can see that it's, like, twisted around. When you spin it the wrong direction, it, like, curly twists.
They're beside each other instead of twirled together.
Yes. So I was like, that's not it. So Jillian was saying that the take-up on Double Drive is different than the take-up on Scotch Tension, which totally makes sense. Scotch Tension has a stronger take-up than Double Drive does. So when you switch from Scotch Tension from spinning singles to Double Drive for applying, you're not getting the same amount of take-up. And that's what was happening there. It's not going to be a terrible thing, and I don't think I'll notice it at all when I knit it. And she said I probably wouldn't. It's just...
It's not as pretty in the skein as she would like it to be.
Yes, it's not as pretty in the skin as I would like it to be, and it made, it kept jumping off of, I use a Shocked yardage counter. It kept jumping off the yardage counter. So, I think it's 300 yards. That was a low ball estimate. It could be more than that, and I still have a good bit left on the bobbin to ply. But, like, my bobbin was also looking crazy full.
Yeah, it was.
Because it wasn't laying like it should on the bobbin. So the bobbin was so full, I had to hand wind the last bit, which is unusual for 300 yards. Like, you should not have to hand wind 300 yards on a Shocked bobbin. That is not what's supposed to happen. So, figured it out. I'm going to put the other little bit, it's probably like 50 yards. At maybe at most. It'll come out to like 25 yards. I'm going to apply that on the Lundrum probably, which is set up in Scotch Tension.
Every wheel that Laura owns is set up in Scotch Tension except the Matchless and the Saxony.
The two Saxonies. So those two are in Double Drive. So the Lundrum Saxony and the Shocked Reef Saxony, which got a replacement part. So I don't have... a
very expensive shiv.
Yeah, I don't like using that word, but yeah. So when I first got the Matchless, I decided I wanted to spin some Bumblebee Acres on it. I have some Bumblebee Acres Cormo, and you can see Shocked spun. They always test their wheels before they leave, so I just spun over that. So this is some Bumblebee Acres Cormo from their flock. It's a natural brown. I'm hoping that I get it 450 yards from this, but I don't know that I will. But I'm really hoping I am, so that I can do a Joji Locatelli shawl pattern with it. So that is Cormo. And it's a boring brown, but it was a quick spin. We watched The Zoo on Animal Planet, which is super cool. It's behind the scenes of the San Diego Zoo and what keepers experience and how they care for the animals, but also how they are trying to do...
conservation. Yeah,
and teach the public about conservation, and that was really interesting. And then on Sunday, after the House Cup classes came out, one of them was Spin Fall Colors. So I pulled out some maple and charcoal from Three Waters Farm. It's like a bright orange. And it's got bits of gray. On the side you can mainly see gray and black. But there's yellow in there. And a bunch of other colors. Yeah, there's like a goldish yellow, a burnt umber orange, a lighter orange, gray, and black. So it reminds me of fall a lot. So, and I think I bought this last year at fall. This is a Falkland, which is not really a breed of sheep. It's the islands
region,
where they come from. So both singles of those are spun. The other one's still on the wheel. So I'm hoping to get 2 more skeins plied this weekend as well. We'll see. I have lots of hopes and dreams for this weekend. We're going to have to start watching. Well, I'll start listening. Re-listening.
We'll have a new Bake Off to watch.
We'll have a new Bake Off. We'll have a new Zoo to watch. We'll have a new Ninja Warrior to watch. Lots of things. So that'll at least get me 1 skein plied between the 3 of those. And Jessica and I watched a season of the old Bake Offs, which was nice as well.
It was the gosh, what was his name? With an R. It was the last season.
Yeah, where, what's her name? Prue spoiled it by
Yeah.
tweeting out the winner's name. So, yep. And then the new season is releasing. I like it. There's this whole discussion about binge. So the reason why Netflix is now starting to release shows weekly is because with the binge model, people can like cancel their membership until Stranger Things drops, and then they binge it all in a week, and they catch up on whatever else they need to catch up on, and they cancel the membership until something new comes out.
Yeah.
And I noticed this with Acorn too. So Acorn also started releasing like weekly. I started watching a Lucy Lawless Australian crime show there, which is really good, and I can't remember the name of it. So now they're releasing week by week so that people have to have a membership.
I mean, I find Netflix puts out enough that it's worth the dollars for me, but that's, you know, your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm terrible at remembering to cancel things.
I am not.
So,
but I will cancel Acorn. My membership goes on the 12th, so I'll cancel. I'll catch up with this Lucy Lawless and then cancel until the rest of them come out and then binge.
yeah.
And until like the new Midsummer comes out and some other stuff. They do have good content, but I've caught up on most, and now that we're going into football season, I watch more sports and less.
Yeah, I know not to go to Laura's on Sunday after like lunchtime unless I'm willing to sit and watch football, which is fine. It's her thing.
It's Sunday night this week, so you're safe until like 6.
I'm usually gone by then anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You can come over and then go.
What else? So I talked about the little bit of spinning that I did. I finished reading the Sapphire Flames, which is the newest by Alana Andrews in the Hidden Legacy series. I read it, and it's good. I mean, it has some parallels with the main character changed from the first 3 books. There was a novella in between 3 and 4 that sort of changed the protagonist character from one sibling to another. Which typically I don't like when the protagonist changes, but it's similar enough. Like the world is the same, and a lot of the goals are similar.
Nevada got her happy ever after, so they had to move
sort
on.
of, yeah.
But that tension was kind of relieved.
Yeah, like it wasn't like in Kate Daniels where it took like 5 books for them to seal the deal, so to speak. Yeah. So, which, you know, both have their merits.
Yeah.
So I finished that, and then I started rereading the Rowan Harbor series by Sam Burns.
Well, that's good. The last one should be coming out soon.
Yeah, so that's why I restarted, because I think I only got to the 5th book before, and then I got distracted with something. So I figure I'll restart it, and by the time I finish, because there's 8 out now out of a 9-book series, and then I'll be able to start the other series.
That's what I read at SSK, was I was rereading the Rowan Harbor.
Yeah. Because I've missed a lot and forgotten things, so.
Yeah, it happens.
What about you? You've been...
I'm still doing Sapphire Flames, and this weekend, am going to start the sequel to Small Spaces, which is called Dead Voices. It was supposed to arrive last weekend, and the U.S. Post Office decided to change my address.
That's right.
So I'm having an issue with Amazon lately. All my packages from
I feel like it's not
week.
Amazon. It's your delivery person.
Well, and this past time, though, so the other time was USPS, where Dead Voices went on a trip to, where did it go? Like, Illinois. It was in South Haven and then went to Illinois and then came back. But the Amazon people deliver to the wrong doorstop all the time. They can't determine where my house is, apparently. So they'll deliver it like one street over. And usually, like, my neighbor will bring it to me, but they haven't yet. So I was on the phone with Amazon for an hour yesterday because I was on chat first, and then they won't do resend outs unless you call them now, or they call you. And then they were saying that they were calling my number. My phone wasn't ringing, and it was showing as busy. So I was like, well, give me your number, and I'll call you. And then they put me down through, like, the general dispatcher again. And I got through all answering the same questions again, and then they accidentally put me on hold and then hung up, and then I had to call back, and it was like this hour-long
At that point, you know that your
saga.
head is about to blow off the top of your
I was
skull.
trying to be nice, especially since the lady was, we were chatting, and I was like, I can tell you right away that that is not my porch. First off, the door is red, and second, the plants are alive on the porch.
Yeah. Laura sent us a picture that they had sent them, and that was the first thing even Florence said, was like, well, that's not your house.
That house is much nicer than your house.
Well, no, it's the whole plants were alive thing.
So funny. So, anyway, so I'm going to start reading that this weekend, because I've still been book talking Small Spaces. I have one more week of book talking that, and then I'm done. Yay! And then I move on to something else. And the kids are so mad that all my copies are checked out. I have like 4 copies and they're all checked out, and they're so mad about it.
Poor puddins.
I know. Then we had a discussion about how, like, good readers keep a list of what they want to read next, and anytime I book talk something, I put it on, like, a giant post-it note. It says Miss Linneman is buzzing about, and I list all the books that I book talked throughout the year so they can reference back and remember what books I book talked.
Can they like put themselves on the like a wait list?
They can, so they can add holds, but I haven't taught. So this is how my library is run. You know, everyone's library is different. So the first week I just do like policies and procedures where things are located. The second week with 6th grade, we still do policies and procedures, but we've been going on like how to preview books. So when you look at a book on a shelf, where the title is located on the spine, when you look at the cover, what words come to mind, when you read the when you look at like paperbacks, hardcovers that have been rebound, or hardcovers with jackets, where the synopsis is located, the summary is located, how to find that, and how to read that, and what words come to mind when you think about characters, plot, and setting when you read that, and whether or not that book would be a good fit for them, and I'm modeling and whatever. The third time they come, we go through, like, what makes a book a good fit. Not content-wise, but can you read the words on the page? Like, are they white writing on black? Are they accessible for you to be able to read it? Do you know most of the words on the page? Because if you don't know more than 4 or 5 on the page, that might be a struggle. Can you visualize what's happening in the book? There's, like, a whole thing we go through. And then the time after that, we go through... how do we locate books using the computer? How do we access our account? How do we put it on hold?
I guess I don't think about all that because there's never been a time that I remember that I didn't know how to use the library. But I mean, there was surely a time when I didn't know how to use the library. I just don't remember that.
So right now, like my 7th and 8th graders know how to do that, and they're doing that on their own. Although they all now have their own computer logins. And they were allowed to set their own passwords, and so the majority of my time is like, hey, what's your password? Because they have to log in just to access, like, to get on the computer. Yeah, so I'm going to talk to my tech guy about having, like, a general login just for card catalog, that they can't go anywhere else. They can go there and maybe Novelist, which is a database where you can say, hey, I liked Diary of a Wimpy Kid. What else fits into that criteria? Although I have posters made for Diary of a Wimpy Kid and some other things too, but other resources for them. Anyway, lots of things going on in the library, for sure. Lots and lots of things. But I'm on a 2-week cycle where I teach the same thing 8 times a day for 2 weeks. So... to see all my kids, so that can get
because you have how many
repetitive.
6th graders?
I've run $350 of each.
And you get, what, 30 a class?
A little bit less than that, yeah. It's around 25 a class.
So that's 4, 5, 6 at least. No, sorry, that's 4,
I see around
8,
6
12.
classes a day.
So
of
14 classes, roughly, of 6th graders.
Yeah. Let me do that. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. We have 5 6th grade English teachers, and they teach 3 units. So yeah, 15 classes plus a 6th grade resource class plus CBC, which is like a self-contained class, plus another like a higher functioning CBC, plus Magnolia. Yeah, I see like there's lots of little smaller resource classes too. So I see around 15 classes per grade. Anyway, I stay busy.
You do.
It's fun though, and it makes the days go pretty fast. And I get around 12,000 steps while I'm at work. So
I might get a couple hundred. I love being able to work at home, but it is definitely not conducive to getting a lot of walking in. So I think at this point we're just babbling. I think we've covered
Y'all don't care about my life.
Well, I don't care about your life, but I think that's all we've got. We'll try to record a little earlier next week so that maybe we can get closer to on track than we have been lately. Fall's always a struggle because Laura's got book for volleyball, and
I'm doing yearbook this year as well.
Yeah, so it's just making everything fit. So, but we appreciate you guys watching. We hope you have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.